What's up, everybody? I'll give it a couple extra minutes. I'm actually a minute or two late trying to walk in here because I walked into the door and spilled coffee on myself. So just, living the life, baby. We'll give it a couple of minutes. I got a couple of people coming on. I see some people coming on right now. So first of all, I want to welcome everybody here. I am stoked to do this one. I've never seen something like this done. And we said, why not? Let's freaking do it. So we've come up with these. It's a 3-series hotel training and, kind of the different processes from I want to buy a hotel to, operations and stabilization. So a lot of this stuff is like a secret when you start talking to different people, but there's also a lot of stuff that like people just don't know. And it's not necessarily a secret, they just don't know. So we're going to go through everything that we know. We're going to go through things that we've done, things that we actively do. We're on the hunt for the next couple of hotels right now, be it hotel, motel, Holiday Inn, whatever you want to call it. And, we just kind of want to take you through the journey of like how our minds work whenever we go into, looking for a hotel. So first things first, if you can, please let me know, like, can you hear me okay? Are you guys in the car? Are you guys at home? Like, just kind of give me an idea. I want to make sure, one, you can hear me and you can see me fine. That's first thing. Second thing, love to know where you're watching from. I'll give you a couple minutes there because I need to set some stuff up on the board here. Also, one day we're going to have a desk with a board behind us, but right now we have the desk. And we're going to go back and forth between the board and the desk. So we're going to be like, right now, some deals. I got Amy just sent me a deal today that's online, not far from us. So I was like, hey, let's freaking underwrite it, like right on the call. So I'm stoked for that because I haven't done any due diligence around that whatsoever. So we can actually go through and kind of like take a look and see what's up. So we're gonna go back and forth, and I'm gonna this never done it, but I did on a Zoom call where we changed the camera, like going after the board, and coming back here. So I've got 2 cameras set up, so that'll be cool as we go through it. But we can go ahead and get started. Let's see here. Nick watching from my office. Amy, hey Amy. Let's see, Veronica. Sweet. The only struggle I think we're gonna have is me going from here to there and the mic transferring. So just let me know if you like start to not being able to hear me when we go to the board and we come back. Just let me know. Just let me know. And if you have questions, like this is fully like interactive. You got questions, ask them. Let's just go through it. So we'll go down. For those that don't know me, don't know Allie, I'll give you a little light intro of like why in the world you should even be watching this. Why would you care about anything I have to say? So we'll go through that. So we have the Mallard Hotel. Allie and I have the Mallard Hotel. We also have Cherokee Rose Homes. We just signed a partnership to bring on more STRs as well. So under Cherokee Rose Homes, we manage about 25, 27 cabins in Blue Ridge. We both come from, Allie and I both come from the W-2. I was an electrical engineer. She was a teacher. So just light background. We got 2 kids. We live in West Georgia. With Cherokee Rose Homes, we just signed a deal for 150 new units to come on, STRs. So we're going to be going through that on like massive onboarding there. Then, of course, we have the Mallard Hotel. The Mallard Hotel is in Tennessee. It's 42 keys. We bought it through syndication. We are at the end of year 2 of ownership, end of year 1 of owning it. For running it. We shut down, did a renovation. But that's in Copperhill, Tennessee. So our journey is, through the first rentals, we went through flips, and I'm just going to skim through this, but we went through long-term rentals, flips, and then we started CRH in 2021. That's actually when we joined our first or second mastermind for STRs, and for multifamily we got in. But we bought the hotel in 2022, and when it comes to like creative finance and underwriting deals, due diligence, like I love it. Like I really, really, really love it. We rehabbed and launched the hotel, and we went through everything you could imagine, and we've helped a lot of people since then, like really go through underwrite deals, buy hotels, I mean, you name it. Like we've tried to help in some way. Um, so first things first, on the hotel side, why are you here? Why do we want to know about hotels? That's the most important thing that we can start with. Is why are we here? Throw it in the chat. I'd love to know because I've heard everything from, of course, cash flow, financial freedom, to somebody told me I should, and I have no idea if I should or not. So throw it in the chat. I'd love to hear it. If you have a hotel and you're just on the search for hotel number 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, throw it in the chat. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to if I don't know you, love to network with you, meet you, talk through anything that you need. Maybe I need something. I need some help with something. So especially like market wise. So throw it in the chat while you're here. Love to know it, and that would also help me too. Like if there's something that I haven't heard, we could talk through it. Sean, looking for the first one. Sean is killing it with the STRs. What, 3 deals this morning just sent to him, or 3 leads. So he's killing it. I'm stoked to see you go for hotel number 1. Amy, hotel number 1. Why? Just curious. For us, and this is going to sound crazy, why did we go for hotel number 1? It was really just like this carrot that was out there. We were in a mentorship, and we just seen people start to buy hotels, and I was like, I'm going to buy a hotel one day. No why, no reason, just because it looked cool. Like, so we just went, like one day we're gonna go for a hotel. Like, I have no idea what that looks like. I have no idea what the income side looks like. Not a clue. But we did it. Now looking back, it wasn't really like I have to, or has to be cash flow, or has to do this, or has to. It was just like I just wanted a hotel. It was like what I saw my mentor doing, and I was like, I want to do that. So, when we were in STRs, like I wouldn't tell you if you don't have any STRs, go buy a 40-unit hotel. Like I wouldn't do that unless you hook up with a partner that can kind of like take you down the journey. But excuse me. So why hotels? Once we realize like why we're here and we just kind of go through it, there's a common theme that we see, and like there's questions that we were asked of like, I have the idea of buying a hotel, but I don't know how to go from like I want to buy a hotel to actually close, and I don't know what that process looks like. Like I don't know how to find them, I don't know how to underwrite them, and that was that stuck with me for a while because that's a big push for us to do this today. Is there is like this black box, like a chest of information that nobody knows about and nobody opens, and it's kind of like I compared it to plumbing the other day. So like when you think about like a plumber coming in and a pipe burst or whatever, like you have no idea what that looks like. You have no idea what a plumber does. He's a freaking magician. But once you start plumbing, you realize like, oh, this is nowhere near as complex as I thought it was. Like plumbing's pretty simple. It can be a crap job, but I'll save the jokes for later. But when it comes to hotels, it's the same thing. Like as you dive into hotels, you realize like it's really not that much different than like a commercial asset or like an STR. There are a lot of similarities, but there's also a lot of differences. But it's not like this magical box of information. So just understanding like from I want to buy a hotel. So Sean, Amy, Nick, to actually ownership, like let's unbox that so you guys can have a really clear picture. So is anybody kind of here in this situation of like, I don't really know what that looks like, or I kind of understand, but I'd like to know more? Like, where are you guys at? Where are we at? Amy's actually sent me a lot of deals. So we're going to go over that deal that Amy sent me earlier. And the comments are a little bit, like there's a little bit of a lag in comments. So if I take like a really long break, I'm just waiting to see what comes in. So where are you at in your journey? Do you understand like what the process looks like? Do you not? Is it a total black box? Okay. Everybody wants to know more, Amy. Everybody. I love it. Okay. So first things first. When it comes to buying a hotel, the first thing we have to do is if we actually decide we're going to buy a hotel. And I had to put this in here because it goes with underwriting. Like, are we actually going to buy a hotel? The same way of like, are we actually going to buy our first STR? It's the same decision making, and it's the same process at the beginning because it kind of goes with like how many times we're underwriting. So I was talking to a guy at an event, and he was like, "Man, I really want to buy a hotel." I was like, "Okay, cool. How long have you been looking for a hotel?" He said, "Oh, like I think it was like 6 months." I was like, "Okay, you haven't found anything?" He was like, "No." I said, "Okay, well, how many have you underwritten?" And he was like 2." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So that tells me the main thing is you're not serious. So if you're serious about buying a hotel, we're going to be underwriting a lot because they don't always work. Like 99% of them don't make sense, especially at the ask price. So when I say like make the decision, we're making the decision to buy a hotel. We're making the decision to underwrite hotels every day. Every day. So if you're underwriting, like let me back up. Everybody on here, have you actually ever underwritten a hotel? And if you have, how many hotels have you underwritten? Throw that in the chat because that'll kind of give me an idea of like how serious we are when it comes to buying the next hotel too. So if you're underwriting like one a month, what happens is everybody that was sending you deals, they quit sending them to you. Or you're doing like once a week, you're not giving them any feedback. Like those leads and those connections and those relationships they're going to go away because they're going to say like, well, I'm not wasting my time on you. Even if the numbers don't work, you should at least be contacting the broker saying, hey, like this didn't work. And we're going to get into this because this is a big like lead gen. But like, hey, we didn't, we didn't make like the numbers don't work. This isn't really what we're looking for. This is a little outside our buy box, but what do you have for X, Y, and Z? So I had a hotel I was looking at, and I told the broker, like, hey, this doesn't work for me, but what else do you have? And he said, well, I've got this. It was like 14 or 16 unit for 11 million. And then I was like, golly, like that's quite outside the price range I'm looking for. That is like, it was super boutique in a downtown that I didn't really feel confident of the town itself. And then he sent me like a 25 unit STR or a 25 cabin complex and then a glamping complex. And I was like, okay, back up. Like we're getting outside of like what we're talking about here. So like you're just wasting your time and you're wasting my time. It's cool, but I'm not gonna underwrite those. So don't like understand your buy box, understand what you're going after, and we don't want to be underwriting like every single thing that comes across the plate. Like I want you to be able to understand how to do it, but I don't want you to sit down and underwrite every single thing that comes across the plate because you're never going to get anywhere. So if you're underwriting one in LA and one in New York and then one back in Georgia and then Tennessee and then in Texas, and they're all different avatars, they're all different areas, like you're never really going to make a decision to buy one. It's going to be rough. So how many are underwriting now? How many should you be underwriting? So you should be doing at least like 5 a week. Okay. You should at least be underwriting like 5 a week. If you're not, I would ask you why. And is it like, well, when I underwrite it, it takes an hour and a half, so it's too tiresome, or I don't have the time in the day or whatever, or is it just I just don't know how to do it? I have no idea where to start. So we're gonna go through some stuff that's really gonna like be able to allow you to underwrite in like a minute, 2 minutes, under 5 minutes. You should be able to know like maybe it's a good deal or no, it's not a good deal at all. And it's not just stopping there at like maybe and then moving on. It's maybe and then we dive down into it. So we're going to go through some stuff like that. Just want you to understand that if we're going to do this, and this is really what you want to do, you have to make the decision to do it and start underwriting deals. So those two things are linked. Okay. All right. So where do you find the deals? Now this workshop is probably going to go like, I'm expecting it to go about 2 hours, mainly in like the numbers, the underwriting, and questions going back and forth. We may take a break, may take like a 5 or 10 minute break, but I expect it to go 2 hours. If it goes a little shorter, great. If we can get all the information out there, but just want to give you guys that. Any questions, you let me know. So where do you find the deals? So there is a ton of places that you can find deals. It's not just one. It's not just like, hey, just go on LoopNet. If you don't find anything on LoopNet, quit looking. It's not like that. It's more along the lines of like, okay, try LoopNet. That's an on-market thing. 𝗙ecie is an on-market thing. The MLS, on-market thing. Zillow, on-market. And then you'll start getting into the off-market stuff and then the networks. So for LoopNet, you just literally go to LoopNet, and we're going to go to the next page, and I've got some screenshots that I'm going to show you about LoopNet. If you're on LoopNet, there's a couple ways that you can look for hotel deals. And it may not just be a motel or a hotel. It may be an apartment complex that you're looking at. And it may just have the perfect setup to run it as a motel or a hotel or whatever you want to call it. Or an inn or a B&B, traditional B&B, like a bread and breakfast. So looking at these things, you have to understand like what you're going after and get the holistic view of like what's available and what you could do. Now, once you go like LoopNet, 𝗙cie, MLS, Zillow. So the MLS, I put this on here because if you're in a town like Blue Ridge, for instance, where I'm at, there's not really like commercial brokers like 𝗙cie 𝗶𝗆 in Atlanta, and they're nationwide. So you don't really have that in a town like Blue Ridge. We're looking in Texas, and there's not a commercial broker that's really even going to touch these things in Texas in the middle of nowhere. But in the MLS, your residential agents that know the owners, that know the community, the residential agents will put the stuff on MLS under commercial. So don't just skip over that. That's actually how we found our hotel. It was on the MLS in Tennessee, which is just over the line. It wasn't on. I don't think it was on LoopNet or anything. It was just on the MLS. And my residential agent sent it to me. So, in that, then you have Zillow, and you could do Realtor as well. Then you kind of come down into like your brokers, your banks, your Facebook groups, your wholesalers. Facebook groups is a big one. Let everybody know what you're doing and what you're going after. The more people that know what you're going after and what you're doing, the more people will be looking out for you because everybody naturally wants to help each other. So if I'm going through a list of stuff and I know, I know Sean is looking for, something like 10 units on the lake near him, and I'm scrolling through Facebook in a wholesaler group and I see something on the lake near him, I'm going to send it to him because that's going to be like top of mind. And the more you post, the more you push, the more you tell people, the more forefront you're going to be in there, like in their thinking. So Facebook groups is a big one and wholesalers. So the wholesalers will be in the Facebook groups. But if you go into something I push a lot is like if you're looking for a hotel or motel, go into the multifamily groups and say, hey, I'm looking for motels. So there's a lot of motel conversions to apartments, hotel conversions to apartments, efficiency units, that kind of thing. And it may be one where they can't get rid of it because the numbers behind the conversion doesn't work. But the pass-through motel style does. So that's an option. Now, if you go back to like brokers from the listings, we're going to talk about this in a second. Maybe the deal that you're looking at in LoopNet and 𝗙cie doesn't work. Excuse me. So I got my son home. We're going through a 2-hour workshop. So family at its finest, baby. So if we're looking at LoopNet or 𝗙cie or Zillow or whatever, and we see like, okay, this deal doesn't work, then we're contacting the broker. We're like, hey, this doesn't work. This doesn't meet the buy box. This doesn't meet what we're looking for, whatever. What else do you have? That's where I say like brokers from listings, and we'll talk about that more in a second. If you have something like CoStar, you can, let's say you're looking at a hotel and it's lent on, and you can go into something like CoStar, or there's two others that I can't think of. PropStream, there's one more. But if you go into CoStar or PropStream, you can look and see who's lent on that, like who has the loan on that hotel. And then you can call them and say, hey, like, you guys have a loan on this hotel. Do you have anything else in the area that might be struggling, might be hurting? Like, now is a really good time to do that, because interest rates, people bought in 22, 23, they have no idea what they're doing. And so we're trying to help a lot of sellers kind of get out of those deals. But if you call the bank directly and they're in arrears, and which means they're behind on their payments, and they're trying to work with some kind of like low interest rate deal, you may be able to step in and say, hey, like, I can get them out of pre-foreclosure instead of you taking it back, because not many hotels want to run these hotels, or not many banks want to run the hotels. Hardly any want to actually take over a property. But if you call the bank and you say, hey, like, I'm local, I'm over here, I'm over there, I've got one down the street, whatever, let me help get these sellers out of arrears, or let me help get these sellers out of the bad deal, whatever, that's where the banks will kind of come in. So I would go local if possible too. Your local banks are going to be a really good resource for you to lend on new stuff. Like if they already understand the market, if they understand the product, they understand hospitality, maybe they already lend on another one that's local, they're really likely to lend on another, yours. Do you have any, Jen said, do you have any specific Facebook groups you recommend? Are they regional, local, national? I would say like the national groups. So there's a friend of mine. I say she's a friend. I would say she's a friend now. We've talked a lot on the phone. So Tammy has a Facebook group, and I'll see if I can throw it in the chat after this is done. It's like National United States Off-Market Deals or something like that Facebook group. Actually, let me see if I can. I'll tell you. Give me a second. I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you right now. Her name is Tammy Earp. She runs a wholesale group. It's a Facebook group. Let's see here. United States Off-Market Real Estate Deals. That's the group. She has a freaking ton in there. United States. I'm putting this in the chat. United States Off-Market. Let me go back. United States Off-Market Real Estate Deals. United States Off-Market Real Estate Deals. We were actually on a call the other day. I think it was the hotel call in PowerPath. And I talked about this group. And actually, like, I think we screen shared, and I was just going through some of their deals, or some of her deals that she's got. She's got anything from flagship to motels to apartments, single family homes. So that's a big one. Another one would be, there's a lot of the mastermind multifamily groups, like My First Million in Multifamily. That's a good one. You could go in there. I was part of that mastermind for a while. My First Million in Multifamily, they have a free Facebook group that you could go in. People are posting deals, and you just post what you're looking for. So United States Off-Market Real Estate Deals, get in that one. You can look around. I mean, she's really focused in Tennessee, but she has some all over. So she's got some in Texas. That's actually how we found that Texas deal. She's got some in Georgia. She's got some in North Carolina. But she lives in Tennessee, so she's real local with all that. So anyways, get in those groups, post what you're looking for, engage, like, just don't hold back. The more people that know what you're looking for and what you're doing, the more people that are willing to help you. Okay. LoopNet. Okay. There is something that is like really overlooked whenever you go into LoopNet. And LoopNet, it said, like, if the deals go to LoopNet, they go to LoopNet to die. If they're on LoopNet, they usually have been listed for a long time. You can't get them. You don't want them. Everybody's already terminated contracts, whatever. It's not always the case, but it is majority of the time the case. But if you go in here and you type in, like, for me, I just typed in Blue Ridge, and then I just removed the boundary. I said, okay, for Blue Ridge, multiple types. I just said multifamily and hospitality. So those two categories. If you don't choose multifamily, you'll just get, motels and hotels. But if you click multifamily, you'll get your 10 units, your 12 units, your 4 units. You're probably going to get a lot of duplexes. That's okay. You're going to get portfolios. It's okay. You can kind of filter some of those out. But don't skip over these two. It is like imperative that you don't skip over the multifamily side. And when you do this, of course, I just zoomed out a little bit, but you could see like stuff in Cleveland, this is Cleveland, Tennessee. Let's see. Yes, 𝗙ощ𝗵. That's it. Hey, 𝗙ощ𝗵, by the way. 𝗙ощ𝗵. I mean, stuff like I live in this area down here, and I have never actually heard of like Lula or Wickle store. So, anyways, you're gonna get like stuff everywhere. But if you look to the right, like this is in LoopNet. If you look to the right, you'll see, okay, there's a 48-room hotel. Sometimes it doesn't have the price. 102 unit, and then you'll see like this is exactly what I'm talking about. So 6 multifamily properties. So this is probably 6 duplexes, or I mean they can list it however they want, but it could be duplexes, it could be single family homes. LoopNet is less controlled than the MLS is because this is all commercial brokers. So there is stipulations that you have to post, but like in MLS, there's somebody in the MLS that's sitting there literally verifying listings. Like that's all they do. You have to have like the picture of in Georgia at least, you have to have a picture of the front of the house. You have to have a picture, like that has to be your first picture. You have to have certain descriptions. You can't put lake access if there's no lake access. You can't put they'll just take it down. So for this, like I've seen some crazy stuff on here. It's not regulated as much as the MLS is. Let's see here. This is, if I can remove that thing on the bottom, 7-room bed and breakfast. There we go. So 7-room bed and breakfast. So that's a traditional B&B. If you want to get into the B&Bs, then we can also underwrite those. I don't push heavy in the B&B unless you have somebody that's like really, really local. But this is just an overview of like once you get on LoopNet, once you click search, you're in for sale. Like the only filters you need is for sale, and then just do multifamily and hospitality, and that's it. And then you can just scroll through and look. Now I'll tell you to go to LoopNet and 𝗙ecie because they could be a lot different listings on both of those. So, and the next slideshow is actually 𝗙ecie. So 𝗙ощ𝗵 said for multifamily, please be sure to check the regulation. You want to be sure you have the right license to run a motel, hotels, inns. Yes, correct. Let's see here. I wouldn't do that yet when we're just looking, but yes, she is completely right. Okay, this is 𝗙ecie. So in 𝗙ecie, everything's just flopped. In 𝗙ecie, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to go multifamily for sale. I mean, you can't see it because PowerPath's in the way, but you get the drift. For sale, multifamily got hospitality. So you can pull out like RV park out of the multifamily, but it's got student housing, so I would definitely leave that. Leave apartment building, and you could pull these two out: single family rental portfolio and RV park. You can pull them out if you want. However, you may find an RV park with like a 10-unit motel included. So depending on your area, it may make sense to just leave it. Regardless, I'd pull out single family rental portfolio, and then you can leave these here: hospitality, hotel, motel, casino. Now, when I was going through this, I found a deal in my area that's near our hotel. And I said, what the heck? Why don't we just underwrite it? So that's what we're going to do. And kind of go through what it looks like, how our brains go through it. Is it worth it? Is it not? Sniff test, real test, that kind of thing. So, but I showed you the map here, and, we zoomed out. This is Cleveland, Tennessee. This is the North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia line right here. This tri-state area. Same thing as right here on LoopNet. Just to show you, like you have a lot different listings in both. So this is the deal that I found on 𝗙ecie. I actually didn't know this was for sale. Actually, have never seen this. Period. This is like 2 minutes from my hotel. This is totally new for me. I haven't done anything on this except just putting the slideshow together. But there's 4 parts I want you to pay attention to this. This is actually for sale right now. If you typed in 5499 Highway 64, Copper Hill, Tennessee, you would find this for sale right now. But it's important to note, so we look at days on market, so it's not a brand new listing, but they could sit for a year. Okay, they could sit for 365 days. But it's been on the market for 3 months. So days on market's important. Ask price, not purchase price. Ask price is important. And I say that for you to really understand that just because they're asking $580,000 does not mean that you have to purchase it for $580,000. Now, if you underwrite this and you look at this and it's like a maybe, you're not sure, you dive more into it and you see the price is 580 and you're like, it doesn't work at 580. Okay, but like, what does it work at? Offer what you think it would work at. Like, play with the numbers there. The 7 unit that we had under contract, they wanted 500K. Numbers just didn't work at 500. We got it for 425. And we didn't purchase it. We terminated it this week. We can kind of go into that. It's actually still on the board, but we can go into that a little bit more. But we did terminate it. But to show you, 500K was the ask price. 425 is what we got it for. Notice the brokers. So this is where it gets into like, this deal doesn't work. If this deal doesn't work, I don't know if it does or not, but if this deal doesn't work, call the broker anyways and say, hey, I looked at this place you've got over here in Copper Hill. For me, I would say, hey, I've got a hotel like literally 2 minutes down the street. I was looking at this. It doesn't work. So you could do 2 things. You could say, like, what does work? Tell me the situation of the seller. Or you could say, hey, like, this doesn't fit my buy box. What else do you have in this area? Do you have anything in this area? And if not, like, what's the closest area you have? So that's where you'll start really building that relationship with that broker. And you can call Sean. Here's his number. And you can call Betty Bash. And it says they're both in Tennessee. Or, well, they're licensed in Tennessee. I don't know where this brokerage is, Coldwell Bankers. I have no idea. Again, I haven't done any research on them. I literally just clicked call, and then I screenshotted this. So hers still says call. This is a real deal, built in 1952. So if you're thinking 1952 purchase, you need to be thinking drain lines, water lines. That's a big one. So snake and drains, scope and drains, all that kind of stuff. Okay. So we're gonna kind of think about this deal. We're gonna say, okay, does this deal work? We found a deal that's for sale in this market. Now what? Like, are we gonna go for it? Are we gonna underwrite it? Are we gonna like check comps? Like, what are we gonna do? So now what? Well, first things first. I always go to Google Hotels. Literally, like just Google Hotels in Copper Hill, Tennessee. And this is what comes up. You'll see on Google, obviously you know what Google Hotels are. It'll show you what the prices are for everything around it for a specific time. So it picked Tuesday, I think it was, of next week is what it picked. So this is my hotel right here, and it's 71. It's not true. It's not 71. I think that's with some kind of deal or something, but it should be $85 a month. I'm kind of curious on why it says 71, but nonetheless, you see it says 71, 98, 100, 100, 100, 89, 88, 116. Remember, this is a Tuesday, so it's going to be stupid cheap. But the hotel's right here. So when I'm looking at this, I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to rent this thing for $150 or $200 a night, you know, on Tuesday on the season. But you can switch around and say, okay, what is it for the weekends? What is it, you know, for Friday night, Saturday night? What is it for December? What is it for out, you know, in February, February, March, April, May, all the way out, and just see what the prices look like. You know, so if this are all like 125, 135, 140, 110, 160, whatever, then like 150, 175 might be something you could do, and just put a number down. Like, we got to have a baseline to start. That's it. Like, we got to have a baseline to start. Now, understanding that this hotel is, I mean, I know this area fairly well, but this hotel is in between 2 big cities. So I say big cities. Ducktown's not big at all, but Copper Hill is, and so this is kind of like on Copper Hill right here. McKaysville is right before you go over the line. Then it's Copper Hill. So it's between Copper Hill and this over here is Murphy, North Carolina. They have some casinos and some other stuff, but it's in between two cities. It's not downtown Blue Ridge. It's not downtown Copper Hill. It's just here. It's like a roadside motel. Is probably the best way I could describe it. I mean, if you look at it, you'd have to go into the pictures to see. But this is a 7-unit motel, and this is like a restaurant where they have like pool, like a pool bar, pool tournaments. So thinking about the type of clientele that comes with, like, like somebody's got to run the hotel, somebody's got to run the restaurant, somebody's got to run the pool tournaments. Like, I have no idea what that looks like. But just gathering some prices, like, does it work, does it not? Okay, so if I look through here, I'm going to think, okay, low. What about $75 a night? What about $100? Well, does it work anywhere in that realm? And we're going to take it to the board. So this is going to be a new thing for me. Let's see. We're going to come up with a sniff test, and let me see if I can turn this around. And we're just going to look at some numbers for this hotel. Let's see. So far, so good. Let me ask you that first. So far, so good. Everybody okay? Everybody happy? Oh, there we go. I'm going to pull off the board. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Make sure everybody's good. Veronica's great. Good. Yes, happy. Okay, so bear with me for a second. If you need to go to the bathroom, I'll go now. We're going to go to the board, and you can see where my daughter has taken over. Let's see here. There's the 90-day challenge, Veronica. Let's see. I'm going to see if we can adjust this and let's see how we take this over. Brittany, you just want to hold that right there? All right, let's see. The 7-unit. Can you look at the comments and see? Can you guys hear me okay? Standing here? Yes, no, maybe so. Let's see what it's just a lag between comments. I'm gonna try it here. Like, you just tell me if you can hear me okay.
Sean said it's okay, it's not great. Nick said it's still pretty good. Sean said better.
Probably better than that. Yeah, it's probably better like that. The lag is crazy. So, okay, I'm gonna leave this here because this is from the 7-unit that we had. That's just the rents that we were capturing from them. But if we look at this new 7, this is the 7-unit in Carrollton, not the 7-1. If we look at the 7-unit that's on LoopNet, now that has a restaurant and a pool bar, whatever you want to call it. I have no idea what that brings in, what that rents for. If you could get a restaurant strategy lease, whatever, triple net, I doubt it, but I have no idea. So I'm not going to underwrite the extra restaurant. We had somebody, and we've got 2 or 3 people actually in power contract for a restaurant, for a hotel, and they have like downstairs area for like restaurants and leases, whatever. And I want you to underwrite without the lease agreement. something, and the reason is because you don't want to depend on the lease from a restaurant, especially if it's a brand new restaurant. You don't want to depend on a lease for a restaurant that may shut down or may have. If you can just monitor their comments, great.
Because when you can talk into the camera or the computer, they can hear you great, but when you talk at the board, they can't hear you very well.
Okay. So I need to do mic next time. Just plug it in. That's what I need to do. So okay, if you might be able to actually bring that.
I got this. You do that. I got this.
Brittany's about to set this camera up a little bit better. So, or I mean the mic a little bit better. So give us a second. I told you this is new. Telling you. All right, so okay, that is better. Just make sure you pay attention to the comments. We're gonna have to get the mic on the second training. We're gonna have to get the mic set where it's a better setup. So, okay, so the 7 units in Carrollton. I don't know what you heard, what you did before. 7 units in Carrollton. We can talk about that deal, but FSD rates everything except the market rents off that deal. But this deal, I would not underwrite with restaurant or triple net lease. I would never do that. I would underwrite that separately because that's actually going to give you a different kind of value. But when you look at, look for instance at Maggie Valley. Maggie Valley was hit by the hurricane, and there's a hotel we were looking at that was the 11 million boutique hotel that we were talking about earlier. And they have 2 areas downstairs for triple net lease, and it brought in like $175,000, $165,000 a year. But both of those stores are super dependent on tourism. So if the hurricane hits and wipes out Maggie Valley or Asheville or where, no, it was in Asheville, I'm sorry, so it was just right down the road. If you are looking at something that is super heavy dependent on a lease, and hurricane or whatever comes through and wipes it out, they're going to wipe out the leases as well. So if they're dependent on tourism and the tourism fails or shuts down or whatever for a year, so will the stores. So if you are super dependent on paying your bills with that lease agreement, like that's why we don't underwrite with just a lease agreement. Okay. So for this 7 unit in the middle of nowhere in Copperville with a restaurant and whatever this pool tournament bar is, we don't want to underwrite with that income, so I'm not going to project that. Looking at the map, we got 2 prices. We got somewhere around $75, and then I just want to see what it looks like at 100. So, you got my phone over there with a calculator? I'm going to need a calculator. Okay, so we got 7 units. Let's go at $75. So at $75 a night, we're going to look at occupancy somewhere around like, let's just say 50%. Or 40, 50, you want to end up stress testing this later, but we're just going to look at 50%. 50% times 365 days. So you got 7 units, $75 a night, 50% times 365. What does that give you? Ready?
95,812.
95,812. Are you sure? You positive? Okay. Making sure you can math right. So we got gross income 95K. Now do the same thing only at $100 a night. All right.
Yep, correct. 95.
So that's at 75 a night. Let's do at 100. What is that? 7 times 75. 7 times 100 times 50% times 365. How much of a difference is it? Should be 25%. 100. 20, yeah, 25%. $127,750. Okay, that's a year. So that's gross income, no net. No triple net lease, no restaurant, no nothing. These are the two options I'm looking at. So we want to go with the lower option and just see. We just want to see if it works. This is just snippets, okay? Now, when you run hotels, it's important to know if you go, the more boutique you go, the more amenities you go, the more team members you need. Like there's a line there where it'll go, 50%, 60%, 70% off. But we just underwrite everything at 65%. Just if you're looking at a hotel, 65% operating expenses. So what we'll do, so if you got 65% off it, do a little math, you got 35% of it's going to be your NOI. Okay? So we can literally just take this number and times it by 0.35. What's that number? 95,812 times 0.35. Yep. Okay, so if it's gross to $95,812 times 0.35, which is 35% NOI. What'd you say again? 33,500 what? 34 NOI. Okay. What about 100? You do it at 100. 127,750. 0.35. Yep. And that is 127,750. 0.35 equals 44,000. Any questions? Okay. If you have a question, please let me know. I don't want to move too fast. There's a lag. So yeah, two different options run. Okay, but now, like if we took this 33,534, took the 33,534, that's at $75 a night. We have the NOI, and now we have to find with the cap rate what it's going to be worth. So if we look strictly at the $33,000 mark, before I go into that cap rate, anybody not know what cap rate? It takes like 15 seconds. I'm like then hitting enter, it's showing up there. So like 15 to 20 second delay. So if you know what a cap rate is, perfect. If you don't know what a cap rate, the cap rate is like a metric to find, based on the NOI, it's a metric to find the value. And it depends on where you're at in the nation, and it depends on where you're at in the state, in the city, all of that. So if you buy something downtown versus outside of town, it's going to be a lower cap rate in downtown. If you bought something in LA versus, I don't know, I'll use Atlanta for instance. So there's a Buckhead in Atlanta. Amy knows. She's in Buford. Buckhead is like stupid expensive. So if you built something brand new, like if you build an apartment complex, brand spanking new, the cap rate's going to be like 4 cap, 3 cap. Like, I've seen stuff go there for 3 cap. And so that is like just like you're not going to cash flow. If you pay cash for that, that would be like a 3% return. Like it's stupid. So with hospitality, we don't underwrite anything less than a 9 cap. The lower the cap rate, the more expensive it is. The higher the cap rate, the less expensive it is. What you'll see is the cap rate will also follow interest rates. So if interest rates go through the roof, your buying power goes down, your cap rate will go up as well. So for hospitality, we're not going to underwrite anything less than like a 9 cap. If you were in downtown, you have a perfect operation, brand new building, you can push lower, but I don't want to underwrite. Okay? Banks are not going to underwrite that low if it's just a regular motel. Now, for something like this, let's say you went and like fully rehabbed it, and it was just beautiful boutique. I'd say like 9K, 10K, somewhere in there, because this is in the middle of nowhere. I would push somewhere higher to like a 13, 14, 15 cap on something like that. And it depends. Okay, so you could do like a CoStar report, pull what everything else is pulling in the area. So you wouldn't do that until like you go under contract. You're really looking for sales. You're looking for comps. It's gonna be appraised. So we're just gonna take this number and we're gonna say in this area what it's worth today. We'll say we're just gonna use 12 cap. So what is that? Show you the difference in price too. So let's say 33,534. So add a 12 cap. What does it look like? Divided by 0.12. Okay, that's at $75 a night, 50% operating expenses. What about a 9 cap? So do 33,534 divided by 0.09. Okay. Now we're going to take the $100 a night, 44,000. So do 44,712 divided by 0.12. And a 9 cap. So 0.09. Okay. So at the highest, most probable value, we know that's listed for what, 580? What's the second? Just move the second screen window down. And the slideshow should be right behind it. And just click back. 579. Okay. So there's no way that I'm paying $579,000 for this place. There's no way. There's no way it's worth it. If we're looking at $100 a night ADR, 7 units, 50% of occupancy, there's no way that I'm paying almost $100,000 more than what it's worth today. You would have to push this to like 125. Then we could probably get that up. So what would you do after that? So you have two choices. But before we go down that, any questions? Oh my God. Forgive her. 1 second. Yeah, pull that back over here. Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Okay. Let's see here. We'll pull this right here. All right. So right now, any questions so far of like this board? You can't. I don't even know if you can see the board.
You can. It's focusing. You can see it on the big.
Okay. I'm like, what are we doing here?
On the bigger one, you can see it where you like the other.
Yep. Okay.
You can see it,
Sweet. All right. I'll give it a second for questions. Yeah, see that now it adjusted to the first movement, and then it's going to adjust again on your movement back.
I know, I keep saying it.
Yeah, no, you're good.
But on the big screen.
Tony said, what does the 65% represent? 65% OPEX. So all your operating expenses, 65%. Now what will happen is, take this back over. Let me explain a phenomena with OPEX real quick. So we're looking at let's look at something real quick. This is what happens when you launch a hotel. So let's say this is the first time I've created this graph, so like I may have to redraw. But let's just say this is launch. And this is actually we'll say this is launch. And this is office. And this is time running. Can you see this down here, Brittany? Like, can you see this time running thing? Okay. So this is 0 months. Okay, 0 months. This is when you launch. Okay. And we're going to say OPEX is going to be, let's just say this is 50%, it's going to be 60%, it's going to be 70%. This is going to be 0 months, it's going to be 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. Can you see this over here? Okay. All right. Never shown this before. Talked about it a lot, but I've never actually had it in the graph. What happens is when you launch a hotel, you're going to be like in this area for operating expenses, okay? Because you're going to have like virtually no income. So you're not going to cash flow anything, but you're still going to have to pay your staff. You're going to have to pay hosting fees like on your website. You're still going to have to pay any kind of management fees. You're still going to have to pay. You're still going to pay everything except like your trash, your lawn, your water, your electric. Like you still have all these things that you have to pay. So at 0 months, you're going to be like here, okay? And as you run, it's going to be like, well, let's just say this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's close enough. You're going to be like here. So like month 2, you're going to be like here at 70% operating expense. Then you're going to be like this. And this is the 6 months. You're going to be like here. So like 6 months, you're going to be like 65%. Maybe a little, maybe like closer to 7. But then it's going to like 10 along. Depending on your product and your amenities, you can be between here. You can be between your 60 and 70%. So like Maggie has a hotel in, I didn't know there was a Palm Springs, California, but she's in Palm Springs, California. She has a pool. I don't have a pool. I don't have the expense of a pool. But she has 10 units. But hers is a lot more like boutique for like girl parties, bachelor trips, that kind of thing. So she may be running here. I don't know. But she may be in like the 70s until her income goes through the roof. And then once you stabilize, say like around 12 months, you stabilize and so does your expenses. Now something that you will learn as you go, like if you have something big enough to do W2 cleaners, Brittany's behind the camera right now, and she will be the first one to tell you that trying to come up with a schedule to keep your labor costs low is hard. And when we first started, Brittany, it was like stupid. Like we didn't know. We were doing 12 to 20 grand a month, and 8,000 of it went to labor. And we're like, this doesn't make any sense. So now I would say we go between 6 and 8K, 6 and 7,500 a month in labor. But if we're slow on a weekend, we have to adjust it. Excuse me. But you'll understand, like, your operating expenses are going to be through the freaking roof when you launch. So in your first 6 months, it's going to be brutal. So you really can't say like, oh, I run at 70%, right? It's not true because that's just at launch. But once you hit like 6, 9, 12 months, and you start operating like you start stabilizing, industry standard is 12 months to stabilize. So if you can do it in 10, You can do it 9 to 10 months. Now this is for a rebrand or a brand new hotel. If you just take over operation, it's a lot different. But if we're going to go in and renovate and shut it down and change the name and all this stuff, you're going to go through this. If you buy a hotel that you just take over, it could be opposite. Like if you just take over a hotel, I like my graph. I think I'm just going to draw that from now on. So this is 0 months. This is 12 months. 24. 18. We'll say 90, 80, 70, 60, 50. If somebody tells you that they underwrite less than, or they're running less than 50% off it, I would love to see that. That means they're not paying themselves, they're not paying their manager, they're not paying someone to answer the phones. It's a one-man show. There was one in Arkansas, Jen and Ryan. I don't know if they still have it or not. But they're like, that guy's a one-man show. He hires a couple cleaners, but he answers the phone. He also shuts down when he goes into town, the big city, to go get stuff. So like, his operating expenses on his P&L, they look something like 40 to 50%. But anyway, so if we just take over a hotel and like keep the brand, all you're doing is changing your operations, depending on what their P&L looks like, it may ramp from here and stabilize there, or it could be like here and stabilize. So depending on what the P&L looks like and understanding what all their expenses are, you're going to have something like this. You're either going to stabilize somewhere between here. So maybe like here. You're going to stabilize. You're going to be in this like 60 to 70%, depending on what you're cutting out, what you're using, what you're not. So if you can share expenses with your hotel with another hotel, let's say you got 2 hotels that are really close together and you hire a maintenance guy, you can share that expense between both. And then for cleaners, you could put cleaners on payroll and have them travel around between 2 hotels. But that's not what you're going to do first. But you need to understand, like, if you're going to go through a rebrand, you're going to start higher. Traditionally, if you take over operation, you can start lower, and then you're going to pick up expenses because you're going to pay yourself, you're going to pay the manager, you're going to have someone use the phones, you're going to be paying for soaps, like stuff that they're not doing that you want to do. You're going to go like this. Okay? Make sense? Any questions? Okay. From who? Francis? I'm just kidding. I love Vincent. Okay. Let's see here. I love the whiteboard. It's way easier to actually describe. Let's see here. Where are we at? Oh, you didn't tell me it was a flaming thumbs up. Tony, I hope that answers your question, but I went down a rabbit hole there. Let's see, let me switch you back over. There we go. Okay. Tony, I hope that helps. Let's see where you're at here. Let's see here. All right. I'll give the camera just a second from what I can see. Share screen. All right. Back in it. Flaming thumbs up are always better. Got too much time on your hand, Vincent. All right, let's see here. So once we go through that, we figure out, like, is it a decent deal? Is it close? Is it not? Went through the sniff test. We took it to the board. Now, one of 2 things will happen. Based off what we saw, it's only worth like $480,000 or 400. I don't remember the number. 400 something. But they want 580 for this thing. Now, you could go one of 2 ways. You could say absolutely not. That's stupid. I didn't like this area anyways. Needs too much work. In my opinion, it's not a good deal. It needs too much work. And I want nothing to do with a restaurant. Now, could we get somebody in for a restaurant? Possibly. It's a possibility. But I would say no. No. Not unless they lowered it like 200 or 300 grand. Especially for 7 units. That's just crazy. Now, if you were going to go maybe, like, it's okay. Like, it doesn't really align with what I want, but it is something that we could, like, really kind of go back and forth with. Then I would go a little deeper, and I would go into the hotel calculator, which is on the next page. Now, before you wanted to go down that realm, I would call the broker. I would say, hey, what is the scoop on this deal? I'm looking at it. The number's pretty high, but, like, can you tell me something here? Like, what's up? Give me some information. And they may tell you, like, look, and I've heard this before. Broker says, yeah, they know they put it for it's too expensive, but they're just willing to accept the offer. Okay, so we know that they don't want 580 for it. We know that they're willing to take some offers, so like 300K maybe. So getting the broker to kind of just give you more information, just keep asking questions, just keep asking and asking and asking and asking. If you go absolutely no way whatsoever, like this is not a deal, this is crazy, then I would call the broker. Either way, it involves you calling the broker. But I would call the broker and I would say, hey, there's no way I'm buying this thing. Doesn't meet my buy box. What else you got? I'm looking for something maybe closer to 20 units, maybe something that's priced a little bit better. Anything, literally anything. Just have the conversation with the broker. You'll say no way or maybe. Now, you've already talked to the broker and they said, look, let's say that price almost works. You call the broker and they're like, yeah, like they're accepting offers, but they're pretty close on this price. Take it to the calculator. In that calculator, you can see like what all the breakdown is. I'm going to give you the calculator for free, but you can see what the breakdown is, what the expenses look like. How are you going to purchase this thing? Is it going to be a traditional? Is it going to be SBA? Is it going to be seller finance? All that kind of stuff. And that conversation with that broker is going to tell you what makes sense and what doesn't. Like they're looking for all the cash out. They're moving across, across the country or moving to another country, and they have to have all that because they're going to build. And they got to have the full 400K or 500K or whatever, and they're not taking anything less. Okay, that's a conversation that we can have, but that's a cash deal, or that's a purchase with a traditional financing. It could be something where they just say, hey, look, this is training number 2, okay, for seller finance and creative finance, and how to buy this thing. This is training number 2, but I'll just give you some insight. Maybe they want to travel and they want to retire. Okay, cool. What's that look like? Do they want to buy an RV? Do they want to buy a truck? Are you going to, can we just pay them every month? Like, what does that really look like for them to be, retiring, traveling? Like, what does that look like? What if I could pay them what they're making now as a mortgage? Excuse me. But that's how you kind of continue. Now, here's the QR code for the hotel calculator. This is my calculator. I've created it a while back. This is a copy to the master copy. It's a QR code to the master copy. Take it, scan it, download it. Feel free to use it, but just make a copy of it whenever you go in. You shouldn't be able to actually get into it and change anything. So make a copy. You can see if you're syndicating, if you're raising money with the JV partner, whatever. Whenever you refinance out, change your cap rate, see how much capital is coming back out. But here's your calculator. Okay. Now, if this is a maybe deal and you want to start exploring this, use the calculator. Who are we serving as an avatar? So if we're jumping into a new market, like if Copper Hill, Tennessee was a new market for you, you say, well, I have no idea what happens. Well, okay. So is it a tourist market? Is it a workforce housing market? Is it just a pass-through market? Like, what comes to this area? Who would I be serving? Now, if it's a high-end, really touristy area, like you're going to buy like something in Gatlinburg or something in downtown, theming it boutique, that may be the answer. If you're looking at this and there's a ton of work coming in, and you called the city, and you called the zoning, and you called the permit office, and you said, "Hey guys, like, there's really nothing here. Do you guys have any big jobs coming to the town?" So I learned recently that in Texas, they're pushing solar farms, they're pushing wind turbine farms, they're pushing DOT projects, and they're going to be like 3 years in the making for these projects. And these workers have to go somewhere. They have to stay somewhere. So I have a buddy that's got one in Texas, and he's occupied 100% for the next 2 weeks. Well, that was actually last week. So this week and then next week, he's 100% occupied because of a big project coming in. And they got in front of all these companies that were traveling to the town, manufacturing facilities, DOT projects, all of that stuff. But understand who your avatar is. Okay, so if it's workforce housing, we need to make sure we have somewhere for them to like heat up food, possibly cook, a sink. Maybe you just have a communal space as like a kitchen or whatever. But understand who that is. So that will also tell you what your budget for rehab is going to be. So if you're going super theme, super high end, all that kind of stuff, like you need to understand what your budget's going to look like because you're purchasing microwaves or refrigerators or high end cabinets or whatever. So understanding the avatar, if it's tourism versus work, and then that'll help you craft your budget. And in the calculator, you can play like how you're going to purchase it. I always like to underwrite it like I'm going to come in originally as a 20-25% down regular bank loan. Because if you're going to go the seller finance like route, it needs to make sense. So if they say, well, I want 50% down and I'm going to charge you 12% on the loan and you have to pay me in 2 years, like that doesn't make sense. I would just underwrite it like a regular bank loan. Okay? And we're going to get into that in training number 2. But for now, let's get up to underwriting, up to making an LOI, submitting an offer, that kind of stuff. So budget down payment, and then your market info. So let's say it is a tourist market. Let's just say it's a tourist market. If it's a tourist market, then you need to understand what the tourism looks like in the market. So is the tourism going down? Is it coming up? Are there big projects coming? You have a Margaritaville coming to town. You got big flagships building. What is drawing people to the area, and what does the development look like behind that? So you could go on the city hall websites, call the tourism. They may have an office for tourism, depending on what city you're looking at. Call the zoning, the commissioning, maybe somebody who's over the STRs. Call everybody in that office that you can and just tell them, hey, I'm looking to purchase, or I'm under contract for this hotel or whatever. This is what I'm looking for. Can you help me? I need to understand the market a little bit better. And the same and you can look at the minutes. You can look at what the city hall meetings look like. What are they trying to pass? Any kind of big projects coming to town. The same for the workforce. So, hey, you guys are having new infrastructure come in? Okay, cool. So we found out this hotel in Texas, DOT was coming to town for like 2 or 3 years starting Q1 of this coming year. And they're redoing all the roads in this town. And so they're going from asphalt to concrete. Why? I don't know. But they are. They're going to redo all the sidewalks, and they're going to redo all the water lines too. They said, the lady at City Hall told me, like, they're going to be here like 2 to 3 years. And I was like, no freaking way. That's amazing. So understanding that they have to go somewhere, they have to stay somewhere, you're going to be the place they're going to stay. And so, of course, with that comes in, your microwaves, your refrigerators, your sinks, whatever. So understanding the market. Okay. So Jen and Ryan, I don't know if they're on here. I think they're on here. I'm not sure. But Jen and Ryan, I'm looking through the comments. I think Ryan said something. Yeah, Jen said something. Yeah, we're talking about the Facebook group. Jen and Ryan are looking at one in New Mexico. And we talked about this, like, call the tourism office, call this, call that, like, look up this, look at the meetings. And it's an older town. Ryan said, yeah, what's up? I just want to say your name, So if they're like, we had this conversation, they were going to call the tourism, or they were going to call City Hall or whatever, and we actually went online and looked to see if they had any meeting minutes or anything, and they didn't have anything, nothing that we could find. So you don't just stop there and say like, well, I can't figure this out. You just call, you figure out who's over the departments, you call and ask questions. What's coming to town? Like I said, do you guys have any big projects? Like, what is it that's happening that we can really like tackle and get our minds wrapped around? Just Googling something like, let's just say it's Atlanta tourism. Just Googling it and just start reading reports. Pulling a CoStar report will help you understand too, of like what the demand is in the area, what the tourism demand is, what the book nights versus the open nights, like what's available, what's not, like supply versus demand. So once you go under contract, then you would obviously buy a CoStar report, and it's like $650 if I remember correctly. But that'll help you understand the market info. Now, if you're buying it from a broker, I would tell the broker to send me everything he has for the market. Hey, you have tourism reports? Cool, send it to me. You have rental growth reports? Send it to me. You have population growth? Send it to me. If you're looking for workforce housing, something that I would look into is your actual not rental demand, your population growth. So are more people living in the area? If the tourism's going through the roof, your population will probably start coming down. But if you're in a workforce place and your population goes down, that could be a red flag that the market's not going the way you want it to go. So, because if there's workforce coming, that would directly relate to like how much housing you have available, if they're going to stay with you or not. So just doing the research and getting a full like holistic scope of what's available and what's going on in the city. The most important thing you can do is call the city department over the zoning, commissioning, projects, STRs, hospitality, all of that. Call them and just ask a question. Okay? Rashmi bounced. Bye, Rashmi. All right, so get this hotel calculator. This is here for you. Now, this is the last slide, but Amy sent me a deal earlier, and it is in Rome, Georgia, and we're going to underwrite it. If you guys are cool with that. Let me see. We're going to underwrite it. We're going to go through it. It is I kind of know the market, sort of, but it's not, I haven't looked at it in a long time. So give me a second, and I will stop sharing the screen. And I will pull that deal up that she sent me. Let's see. Any questions while I'm trying to pull this up? Any questions? Yes, no, maybe so? All right, so this deal that Amy sent me is 15 units in Rome, Georgia. Kind of hesitant because I don't know if Amy wants to buy this, and then I'm going to put this out there and everybody's going to see it. I'm not going to give the address. Let's see. Before I move on and underwrite this live, let me see what Amy says. Oh, okay. I told her we were going to underwrite it. She said, okay. So we're going to underwrite this thing. Now, this thing is 15 units. Let me take some notes here because I'm going to take it to the board. And this will be the last deal, or the last thing we look at. And then I want to talk about what's next after this. Okay? Actually, we're going to share screen. And then we're going to go from there. I'm telling you, this is like a training you never seen before. I'm telling you. Not holding back, baby. Everything that we go through when we underwrite a deal. Let's see here. Okay, window. Let's go. All right. Looking good. Let's see here. So 15 units, $1,000,000. This is in Rome, Georgia. This is really for sale right now. We almost bought a 14 unit in Rome about 3 years ago. I think it was about 3 years ago. Okay. So looking at this, there is no interior pictures for this thing, I don't think. But what is in Rome? Well, Berry College is in Rome. That's a big one. But if we go hotels in Rome, Georgia. Actually, I have no. Let me see what the map looks like here. Yeah. So Berry College is. I have no idea where. See directions to Berry College. Okay, so you're looking 2 miles, 5 minutes. So there's a couple things that go through my mind. You can try student housing here if the rooms are technically big enough. But if the STR idea works better, then you don't obviously want to do student housing. But that's an idea. If you could be like within a mile or so from the college, so it's kind of like walking distance, then you would go student housing. But just looking at hotels around here, understanding where this is at. So this is just north of Highway 1. So the Budget Inn, I think that's what this is. Is this the Budget Inn? No, this is Pinecrest Motel. The Pinecrest is a little farther out than these others, but you've got prices right now. The Sunday night. Oh, I don't guess you can book it on Booking.com. That's great. So you got 60. You got 70. Remember, we're going to underwrite this the way it sits right now. If it's a workforce housing, we're going to keep looking at it the way it is right this second. Okay. If it's something that you're going to go in and you're going to like rebrand and like boutique it and like maybe match something like, let's see what this 177 is a night. It's a house. Okay, great. 193. That's a house as well. Budget Inn is at $60. The Saga Inn is right across the street. So we're looking like past their hotel right now. I have no idea what these prices are, but if we go down, so maybe $60 to $70 a night, depending. But if you go more into the city, you got the Woodbury Inn at 50. There's a lot of houses in this area. So let's just say I would just say like $70 a night. If we go $70 a night on this thing and it's 15 units, I have no idea what they look like on the inside. If you redone the whole thing, then maybe you push like 115, something like that. I wouldn't take it much higher than that because the way it's kind of set up. And Rome is big for the college, and I have no idea what kind of work is coming through. but we can say Rome, Georgia tourism. You can also, fun fact, you can also go to ChatGPT and say, what are the big attractions in Rome, Georgia? And that should give you absolutely everything. After talking to the city 3 years ago, I know that they had a huge tennis tournament coming in. That was like nationwide tennis tournament. So I called and started talking to some people that were over the tournament. They had like 15 or 20 courts that they built. There was not enough housing for people to come for the tournaments. And Rome, the University, Berry College was actually going to build a hotel right next to the courts. So that's interesting. That's a fun fact. I did find that out. So let's just say this place is going to do $70 a night. We can look at 70, and then we can look like another high at like 115, and just kind of see if it's something we can dive into. But let me change the. I'll stop sharing, and let's change the recording around to the board, and we'll take it to the board. I just need to make sure it focuses right. All right. So we look at this. Asking price, not purchase price. Asking price is $1 million. And we're going to say, what does it look like at 70 a night right now? Now, you could literally buy this thing and just keep it going. Clean it up, change out some of the interiors. If it's more for workforce housing, that's kind of where your ADR is going to be. If it's more boutique, then of course you're going to be able to push like 115, 125, 135. Rome doesn't really have anything, and this is just all past experience that you would find out if you wanted to do this deal. Rome doesn't really have any like huge branded, like everybody's coming to the market. They're taking families. It's family travel. All that kind of stuff. That's just not like that. You'll have more of your corporate housing, workforce housing, people coming from the tennis court tournaments, touring the college. I don't even know if there's. I think there is a hospital there. There's a couple of things there. They're talking a couple of years ago. They're talking about some big developments. So I don't know kind of where that's at. So if we're going to go like workforce housing, idea, we're going to get $70 a night. Times, let me get my calculator. Brittany is not here to do my math. Let's see. Let me change this up just a tad. There we go. I think that'll work. All right. I'll get my calculator. So we've got $70 a night times 15 units times, we're just going to say 50% occupancy. So just FYI, most hotels shoot for 50 to 55%. Now, there are some hotels out there that are very boutique that are in the 60s and the 70s. Your CoStar report will show what it actually is in the market. So if we go 70 times 15 units times 0.5 times 365, because that's for the year, we're going to be looking at 365 equals 191,625. Okay, so that's your gross income. Now, if you take that down and you say, okay, well, let's just times it by 0.35. That equals $67,068.75. We don't care about that. We really don't care about $68. Just keep it easy math. It's $67,000. Okay. So times 0.35, because remember that's our NOI, equals $67,000 a year. So that's our NOI. So then we go cap rate, and we go in this market. Let's just go. We can go 9, but I would probably go more like 12, 11, 12. We could do also 9 cap. So 67,000 divided by 0.11 is $609,715. And then at a 9 cap, we are 745K. Okay, that's nowhere near the 1 million purchase. So we got best case scenario is worth 745K. So let's go backwards. Let's go off of 70 a night. And let's say, okay, well, what if we could push it to, let's say we've redone it, we painted it, we really pushed it, we got it from some of the tourism stuff. Let's just say we went for 115 a night. I can't write that. So let's just say, and this is literally what we go through when we like to start looking at these things. Could it do this? Could it do that? Does it even get close to this million? Does it justify like all these different things? Just throw some numbers together. And if you hit somewhere close, then it's time to kind of dive in. Okay. So 115 times 365 times 15 units times 50% off. Gross is $314,800. So times 0.35. 314,800. 110. 100. So add a 9 cap and add a 12 cap. You're at 1.24 million. 1.22 million. And then your other one at a 12 cap. 918K. So that price point would have to be achieved to reach if you're going to pay $1 million for this thing. Now it's not worth $1 million. Now, one of two things: like find the actual ADR on this and get the numbers from them. When you get from a P&L, when you call and you say, "Hey, I want to know more information. I want you to send me a P&L." P&L should give you two things: what their expenses look like, and gross. The most important from a P&L, the most important thing you can get from them is the gross income. 99.5% of people who send you a P&L, it's just not true. They're missing something. They added some extra stuff in. We've had a lot of people say, like, well, what is it? What's the net? I don't like the net. I don't care about the net. I want to see what the gross income looks like. It is important to see what their expenses are. It is very important to see that. But when you do the ratio, and you're like, well, that's only 35% expense ratio, and they say, well, I forgot to add real estate taxes. I forgot to add more pay for insurance. I forgot to add that I don't get paid. They're gonna have to fill 2 or 3 people to fill my spot. Like that's why I don't like this. But the gross income is the most important part of the P&L ever. And you can see like if they have, what their booking income is. Like there'll be room sales. You'll usually see something like food and beverage. And then you'll see like triple net lease if they have something. You may see vending in the gross income. So this will be broke out in your gross. The most important thing is this. Now, when you start looking at flagships, it's a little differently because they have a high food and beverage income, and you'll just have to learn how to manage the expenses on the restaurant side, but we don't care. Like we do care about the triple net lease, but for later, vending, don't ever look at vending. Like ever, like, ever. Okay. You also might see laundry sales. Now, if it is a midterm rental, I think yeah, I think it's right. It was 117 units that we looked at. Not power we were looking at, and let's see, the growth, the laundry sales were so high because it was a midterm style hotel. So like a kind of like a Motel 6. And out of the 117 units, I think it was like 80, 70 or 80% occupied. Crazy. Just for short or for midterm rentals. So like people were doing weekly rentals, monthly rentals. The laundry sales, I think, were like $7 or $8 grand a month. It was insane. So in that type of product, then you can look at this, and as long as it's like the same through the year or 2 years, then you can add it into your room sales. But if it's not, it's just like 1 month here and 1 month there, whatever, then I'm just scratch it. And we don't care. So 9 times out of 10, you don't look at the laundry, you never look at the vending. You care about the triple net, but we're going to underwrite. You underwrite it separately. And you're going to give this cap rate something like a 6 cap. Like it's triple net. Like if you don't know what triple net lease is, triple net is very like all we do is provide the space. You pay for everything except maintenance, outside maintenance. Then we pay for it. It's triple net. Triple net is very, very highly sought after for like commercial living. But your food and beverage, unless it's a flagship, we're not looking at it. So we're just looking at room sales. Now, when you take your room sales down, then you look and see, like, okay, room sales, you can come up with some ADRs, you can come up with what your occupancies would be. You could come up with all that stuff looking at a P&L. But when you take room sales, then you just take it by 35% and just see what that number would give you. What is the actual net today? And then you can do 40. So if it's maybe something a little smaller, but bigger or smaller, it doesn't matter, but you can take it to 40%. So your NOI would be, your operating expenses would be, you look at a 65%, then you look at it like 60%. Now look at the lower. If you can look at it 30 to 40%, usually it's 35%. So if you said like, if they said on the 15 unit, it's $1 million, they said, well, the top line revenue is $450K. Let's just say. Okay. You just tell me what the top line is the last 2 years. I can go from there. Even now, once you go into underwriting it, and you actually like go into contract, you're going to want to prove that they actually did 450K. But you take 450K times 0.35. I do. 450K times 0.35. 157,000 NOI. Take that by 12 cap. Worth $1 million for. They want $1 million for it. They want $1 million for it. It's worth $1.3 million. So I would definitely pursue that. Now, just because you pursue it doesn't mean you're going to buy it. Pursue it is like you want to prove that what they're stating is true, and you're not finding anything else. Like we found out with the 70 with the sprinklers and the fire and all that. So I hope this helps. This makes sense. I have not monitored any questions, so I might walk back over there just to see if we have any. But I hope this makes more sense. And on the 15 unit, Amy, it's worth like probably worth 700 or 800 grand the way it sits today. But calling the broker actually may be something we do. Let's see here. Okay, triple net. Tony, I think I answered it, but I wasn't looking at the questions. But triple net is it's a triple net lease. So it would be, let me change the camera back around. There we go. You see me now? Okay. So triple net lease would be more of I'm just going to share my screen again for this slideshow here. Okay. So Tony, triple net lease would be any kind of commercial building. Like let's say you have a chain restaurant. So chain restaurant, you've got a McDonald's in it. Well, not McDonald's. That's a bad example. Let's say you have a Crystal or a Johnny's or something like that. You come in, or a dental office. Shoot, you could use dental office. You come in and you say, hey, you're going to lease this space out for me. I'm not going to be responsible for anything except like the property taxes and the outside maintenance. You're going to be responsible for everything inside. You're going to be responsible for the grass, the water bill, the light bill. You're going to be responsible for everything. The marketing sign, all of that. I am only going to take care of the exterior space and any like major capex. So that's where triple net comes in. So if you have like a restaurant and you're going to cater to a restaurant space, you could have a restaurant building and say, hey, you can build out everything on the inside. You can replace the vents and the hoods and the grills and all that stuff. But that is totally up to you. So that's where triple net comes in. That's where a lot of like, now your return is way less because your cap rates are way less. They're just really, really highly sought after because there's no work that's included. There's pros and cons to triple nets. So if you cater to like a dental office and the dental office comes in and they spend 20 grand trying to like fix up the place and get it right with the desks and the chairs and all of that, if that stays with the property and they move out, now you have to go in and like figure out if you're going to rent to another dental office or if you're just going to, fix everything else. So I hope that helps. I hope that explains the triple net side. Any other questions? 100%. Let's go through them. But I shared the screen, so this is the last slide of the slideshow. So we've been an hour and 45 minutes. You guys are amazing, and I love to see you guys on here. We're gonna do second. This is a 3-series training. So the second training, we're gonna go into like making the offers, creative finance. We're gonna look at some deals we've done in the past, look at some stuff that we've been helping on, like from now kind of moving forward. There was a situation where something came back 150 grand low on an appraisal, and they sent us the question like, what would you do? And so obviously you want to kind of like work that down to the appraisal price or the appraisal amount, but like what else could you do? Doing a seller carryback or like, doing something at 0% interest. Like how do you approach that? How do you find out if it's a good idea or not? Like where do you go from there? So we're going to include that in like the series second training. Do not miss that. That'll be out in a few weeks. We're going to do that. You'll see, trust me, you'll see all the material around that. But look, if this is what you want to do and you want to go get a hotel, freaking do it, man. Like, let's go. Let's go to work. You got the calculator. You'll get this recording. Watch it again. You got questions, shoot me a DM. Put it in the chat in the group. And that's it. That's it for today. So I appreciate all of you. Each and every one of you. Appreciate the time. Appreciate you guys on the journey with us. And I want to make sure that I got the questions. Let's see. Nick said in the market, we're looking at, there are a few motels. The one we're looking at is 24 units. The best way of finding the ARV if there are almost no other motels in the area in the same unit range. So I wouldn't look at the unit range. I would look like anything and everything. So if it's 24 units, you can find a 10 unit or you can find a 100 unit. Whatever your competition is going to be, we got to figure out like what they're offering it at. What is their nightly rate? So it doesn't matter if it's a 100 unit. If they're at $55 a night and you're like, well, I think I can get 120, like I would ask you why. So start with the rate side and then go into your OPEX and then go into your cap rate. And that's how you kind of get a rough number of like what it would be. This is not black and white. This is not like you have to do this. This is the only right answer. So it's all about understanding the market, understanding the product, understanding the financing, and going forward. So if you guys need any help, you let me know. but I will give you 13 minutes back off the 2 hours that we said. I have thoroughly enjoyed this. Love all you guys. If there's anything I can do to help you, please let me know. And as always, if you're not actually in the PowerPath community, I know you're all are in the free group, but if you're not in the community and you guys are ready to take action on a hotel, shoot me a DM, scan this code, this QR code right here, book a call. Let's talk about it if it's right for you. If you need help on your next hotel, this is it. That's where you go. I will see you guys later. And I'd love to see you guys, if you want to DM me, like, what could be better maybe on the next one, how you felt, did you enjoy it? Always looking for feedback. So, all right, guys, I'll see y'all later.